What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be making this is going to be a fairly quick video, I think, today. I've gotten a bunch of questions about the hangers that I use for wheels, as far as like how they hang in my setup and how they hold the wheel exactly. So I'm going to go through today and make some of these so you guys can actually see exactly what the process is. I mean, most of the parts you're just going to go buy. There's actually only one real step, which is bending these to make them work. But I'll create a parts list, which I'll put here on screen, and then I'll also put down below kind of as I go through this process. I'll show my oven setup as well inside as far as hanging wheels, because obviously this setup might not be perfect for everybody, but you can kind of see what I'm working with and modify these in relation to what you're working with as needed. So the first thing, this is just a 5/16 6-inch eye bolt. It actually comes with this nut already on it. You're going to want to leave that on for this process. And then these are just called coupling nuts. These are also 5/16. They're 5/16 18. It's the thread on them, the coarse thread. You can use fine thread. You can also use metric eye bolts if you'd prefer. There's not really any point, but if that's what you have access to, it's all the same. So these would be the 8mm variant in metric. So with that being said, obviously the only difference between these ones and these ones, other than the fact that these ones are covered in powder, is this bend in it. So the bend's super easy. Doesn't have to be any specific angle. I kind of roughly guess what it is, but we'll take you over to the vise right now and bend these up for you. All right, so on these, we're over here at the vise. You want about 3/4 of an inch to an inch on this. There's no like set standard. That just seems to be one that works the best, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So don't stress out about that. So what I do is I thread this nut up so that these are about the same length. Then I take this coupler nut, hold this nut in place, and then I try to have these one flat side of this lined up with the eyelet. It's not going to matter a ton. It just stops them from sitting to one side when you have it hung up. So now that that's in place, you have the two flat edge, go like this, and then it's super simple. I mean, I can bend these by hand. You literally just bend it like this. I want to see. This one's real close to that, so it's good enough for me. And then if you go to do this and you are having an issue with it, I will show you just an easy little tip for handling this. So once again, threading that nut down to where we want it to be, roughly where we want it to be. We'll run this up to it, pinch them in the vise here. And then the other way of doing this is just put a screwdriver in like this, and that gives you a lot more leverage to make your bend with. So, you can bend these to whatever you want. I tend to bend them all, all mine are basically the same. I have a couple that I bent a little different for some styles of wheels that have a weird angle on their valve stem. But that's it. And then, this nut is pretty well locked in place. You'll only be able to turn it like 1/4 of a thread before it kind of locks itself in place. And then if you don't want this to move at all, you can throw Loctite on it. I've done that once. Didn't seem to matter too much. Once you powder coat these a couple times, they're not moving anyways. But there you go. Clean threads will always be blocked off by this. I'll show you how this goes in the wheel, and then of course how it hangs in the oven as well here in just a second. Okay, now with these things all bent up, let's see here, they're all fairly uniform. The only other addition as far as hanging stuff up goes is these 3-inch S-hooks. They make these in tons of different sizes, so obviously you can kind of cater them to what you want. This is a bigger version. It's thicker. Some of them work better depending on your setup. I know that I bought these in different sizes and hated certain sizes and loved other ones, but most of them seem to work pretty well. I try to get the ones that are open at this end, as opposed to some of these. I don't know if I even have any of the others. Let me see. Yeah, like some of these ones, this is obviously a smaller hook, but you can see how tight this one comes back in on each side. For me, that makes them harder to hang. So I tend to get the ones that are fairly well opened up like this one is. The only other real variant to this setup that I ever use is just to go down to the shorter version of these coupler nuts. These ones obviously have powder on them. But occasionally you'll run into a wheel that you can't have a valve stem, or you can't have something come through the stem and then stick out that far. It blocks too much area. So you end up using shorter ones, and then you run these ones instead. Obviously they could go on still just 5/16 18 thread. I think for everything, not to look, oh, I actually have the invoice right here. So to buy everything to hang 4 wheels, 4 S hooks, 4 eye bolts, 4 coupler nuts, my total was $12. So, the coupler nuts right here, these are 89 cents each, just the hardware store I bought them at. You can probably find them cheaper if you buy them in bulk, or nut and bolt supply houses. The eye bolts are $1.16 each, and the S hooks, 3-inch S hooks, are $1.09 each. So you're talking like $13, I guess, for everything. So not bad, obviously. I mean, I have tons of these. I probably have like 40 of these by now. So let me take you over. I'll show you how to, the way I put them into wheels, and then how, of course, they get hung in the oven. All right, then we'll put eye bolt through. Got your coupler nut here. Threads just like that. Get it nice and tight. And you have your S hook, of course, will go through your eye bolt. So we'll take this next and throw it up in the oven. Okay, and then in the oven, pretty straightforward. This hangs just like this. I have 2 crossbars with eye bolts going through, 3 eye bolts in each one. These rotate if you want them to. I actually have it set up so you can push them up and rotate them and then drop them back down and then lock into place. Just makes hanging other stuff easier. I have 2 rows of these. They slide from front to back, obviously, to accommodate different width wheels, or if I have to move stuff around. Then I have a set that hangs down here below as well that you probably can't see in this shot. But yeah, I think hopefully that'll answer everybody's questions about hanging wheels. The reason I choose to do this, of course, is because the only mark that it leaves is covered by the valve stem. Do you guys got any questions, any comments, or ideas on how to make this better? Feel free to post down below in the comments. Thanks.